The recent videos of Planned Parenthood doctors purportedly selling aborted fetus body parts has caused many conservative Americans to request that the organization be defunded, no longer receiving taxpayer dollars. Guys, is this medical research or just ghoulish, greedy behavior? Ryan, what say you?
Yeah, I watched those videos, and it was hard to watch.
Did you watch the entire video?
I did. It was
because
hard to watch.
one of the things is that if you watch the entire video, what was pulled out was taken out of context.
I don't think it was taken out of context. I don't think it was taken out of context at all. They were talking about discussing selling body parts of aborted babies, and depending on where you stand on pro-life or pro-choice, when you have that kind of discussion, I think it takes it into an entirely new element. And it's just really difficult to see that they're talking about life in such a disregard. And I'm a pro-life
guy. When
guy.
they talk about how not to squeeze here and how to squeeze there so you don't damage certain parts and you can pull it all out all intact.
Well,
that to me is, that's ghoulish.
Yeah, and my problem is, if it was one video, you could write it off.
Yeah.
If it was two videos, it gets a little harder. But when you start introducing beyond two videos, and how many do they have out now?
It's about
4?
8. Oh, there's a total of 8.
There's a total of 8, but there's 4 that have been
There's 4 that
disclosed.
I believe I watched 4.
Yeah. So, at some point, it kind of gets hard to deny that there's something going on there.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like, in what I saw anyway, the interview that I saw was more like Planned Parenthood is not the bigger culprit as opposed to these independent clinics, abortion clinics.
But you know what? We are guilty by association, and if it's a Planned Parenthood clinic, then guess what? Planned Parenthood's going to take the rap.
I'm with you.
Carl, what do you think? We're subsidizing Planned Parenthood with federal
But
taxpayer
only to the
dollars.
tune of $500 million.
Only to the tune.
Well, whatever happened to the laws against stem cell research and gathering stem cells like that? Wouldn't something like that apply in cases like this?
Well, now let's talk about that.
Because it was the way the stem cells were gathered that was the root of that, wasn't it?
My understanding, or at least part of what I know is a federal law, is that you cannot take stem cells and multiply them and breed them.
Okay.
Right.
But
But you can take them.
we routinely, doctors routinely will draw out blood from certain areas. They will put it in a centrifuge. They will separate the stem cells, and then they'll concentrate the stem cells and re-inject them to try to cause things to heal. They do that a lot. Dr. Salvagno, in fact, we just did a radio show with him about that very topic. So that happens. But what you can't do in the United States, is my understanding, is you can't cause those stem cells to reproduce.
Okay, because that would lead to the medical research, and you're pulling them out for research purposes.
Right.
I mean, there's no really other reason to be doing that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But for example, a lot of parents, and we did.
But the
when
point
we had
is-
our child, we kept the cord blood, and it's stored in a freezer somewhere.
There's a lot of, and then of course that's the
Not our
side.
Somewhere.
freezer. Not our freezer.
You don't know where, of course, but still.
Yeah, I know where, but I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Just teasing.
Okay, but the point is, though, if there are laws against that sort of thing,
I've
which
done
are
that before, put stuff in
are
freezer.
far less intrusive than something like taking parts of an actually developed fetus, then it seems to me
it's
that the
called
laws
partial-
ought to
partial
kind of
birth
move over to
abortion,
that
right.
as well.
But should they defund it? Is the defunding an exercise in futility, or is it a serious policy overhaul?
What I like is the idea that there are plenty of ways that we can support women's health. And I know that those who would oppose it politically are going to suggest that this is an attack on women's health.
That's how they phrase it.
But number one, theoretically in my mind, this is not even a pro-choice or pro-life issue at some level, because quite frankly, while I'm a Republican, I am pro-choice. Sorry, guys. Just what I am, all right? It's a choice I would never make.
Right.
And I had the
I'm
opportunity to make it.
pro-humanity.
But my point is that, they would have us believe that it's an abortion issue, and I don't think it is. I just think this is just wrong.
No, an abortion is a moral issue and not a political issue. I mean, abortion is that. I mean, it's, you have to be the one to morally accept what you're doing. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine for you.
Right.
Like you said, I'm pro-choice to a point. But morally, I
This
would
is
never,
still in
I would
Amer-
never be able to say yes to that.
This issue in America is still the single biggest political wedge issue that even after
For the last 45 years.
for the last 45 years from
Yeah.
from early 1970s or late 60s, when when there was a right to privacy that was created in the Constitution, this is still the single biggest divisive issue that separates people from, say, being a Republican or a Democrat. Right. And there's a lot of Republicans who are pro-choice. I'm not one of them, and I don't. That's your choice to be whatever you desire. And of course,
I mean, you're not going out bombing abortion clinics.
No, and like here's another example that I look at is when they hold up the photographs down in the city of Hagerstown at the abortion clinic. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's an effective use of their activism. Bob, you were you've been the mayor for many years of Hagerstown. When you saw that, I mean, morally they're trying to do something constructive, but it leads to something that's really just not a good thing to see.
Which is exactly why I went and had a conversation with your priest, who, yes.
Who?
Father
Colin?
Come help me. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Father Colin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I went with him. It was myself and my chief of police, and we went up and we discussed, because they housed they let them use that as a staging point.
Yeah.
When they come to town, and I tried to explain to him.
They're
I
there
said,
a lot.
Listen, I have absolutely, I will never stomp on anybody's right to go out and peaceably assemble. I will never do that, okay? So you have to be clear on that. I also said, listen, I have 40,000 constituents, and I can guarantee you that when your group is in town, my phone at City Hall rings off the hook, because people are sick and it scares their kids and it does all these things. And it's like I told him, I said, listen, there's got to be a better way for you to, I said, I'm on your side, okay? So there's got to be a better way for you to get your point across than to have these gory photos of aborted fetuses and things like that. Why not show little pink cherubs, smiling and happy?
What was their response?
His response was that he felt that they had the right to do it the way they wanted to do it. And I said,
they do.
I don't argue that point. You're right, they do. They do. Just like I have the right to inform my citizens that, hey, you are coming. I mean, I had a sign placed up at Washington Square. I had one at Prospect. I had one up at Walnut saying you are entering an area where you will see some gory.
Oh, I didn't know you had a sign.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
I remember that.
Yes, indeed. And then I got some hate letters because I did that, from pro-life people. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I believe they should have a right to be able to be there and to protest it. I really do. I just know that I had enough constituents who felt that it was the wrong way to do something, and they didn't like it. And these are the people, they were turning off the very people that they wanted to have come over to their side, I mean, they were turning off mothers who had kids in their cars. I mean,
Yeah, politically speaking, what do you say to men and women who say that Planned Parenthood does a world of good? It provides reproductive services for women, health care services, and they say, why throw the baby out with the bathwater? Where the country, some people in Congress want to completely defund. What's the response to that? And what's the right?
You know what? I don't think there is a right response to that. I think that it's going to be a crapshoot whenever it comes up, and whether or not they defund totally, or else they put some kind of stipulation in there that says, we want to continue to help promote women's health. We don't want to fund abortions.
Or
so we have to figure out. But I mean, the money all goes in one pot.
Right, and they fund some other organization that promotes women's health.
True.
That
does the government fund pro-life organizations?
Yeah, no, I don't think they should.
No, I would prefer that. Well, I would prefer eliminating so many different government streams of funding.
But right now, we've eliminated all of our time on this segment, plus some. So we're going to have to move on. Stay tuned, because the last call is next. We'll be back.
Do you suffer